Welcome back to the Practical Entrepreneur Show. This is episode 26 with Esther Rosales. Esther is a licensed marriage and family therapist. Today, we explored Esther's aspiration of breaking the stigma of mental health in the Latino community, the importance of mental health, and her role as a relationship coach on Univision. We hope this episode opens your mind and understanding of how relevant mental health is in all of our lives and business. We would like to hear your thoughts, so feel free to tweet us, DM us. All of our contact info is located in the episode notes. Thanks and enjoy the show.
All the way. Hey, yeah, yeah.
So, just give us a little background about who you are, where you're from, and what's your favorite color?
Ooh, favorite color, Barbie pink. That,
Ooh.
like bright pink. I like that. I'm Esther Rosales, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm from San Pedro. I went to undergrad in Monterey Bay and then graduate school here in LA at USC.
Oh, okay. And how long have you been in practice for?
Private practice or just practicing
Practice in
mental
general.
health? 11 years.
Wow.
I know. Whenever I say that, I'm like, ooh.
That's how long I've been in health insurance.
It's a long time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to judge you and ask you your age, but it is what it is. So, what made you get into the field?
That's always my favorite question. So I was just guided into it. I didn't even know what a therapist was growing up. I actually remember when I told my parents, I'm going to go to be a therapist. And my dad's like, what? No, that's only for crazy people. And so again, that misconception of what mental health is.
Yes.
So I actually have my bachelor's in film and documentary making. Okay. I did a 2-year research project on teen pregnancy in the Central Valley. So back in 2001 and 2, the Central Valley, so all the farm working community, Greenfield, Hollister, Gilroy, it was a hotspot of teen pregnancy in California.
Okay.
So there's a ton of money going into research trying to figure out what's going on. And I applied for some of the grants. I did about a year and a half to 2 years of following around 3 teen moms. And it was an amazing documentary. Lots of stuff came out of it. And from there, that's just kind of like how I got started in this like social empathetic arena because I was originally going to go to law school and then I was going to run for mayor and maybe governor. So that was actually my goal out of high school. But then when I got introduced to just the social aspect of humans and sociology and all of that, kind of just a passion just grew from there. So then I came back home and I worked for a teen program.
Okay.
And that's really where I started as a mentor and then just really being more present for the teens that were there. And I'm like, there's definitely something here that keeps guiding me back to working with teens and specifically girls at the time. And then I was working at Harvard UCLA for a grant. I was managing one of the grants and I got partnered with a doctor. We were around the same age. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, why aren't you in grad school? And I was like, what's that? I'm the oldest of 8 kids. And so nobody had gone to college or anything. And I was like, grad school, what's that? I really wasn't exposed to that. And so she explained to me and we explored different careers that I could possibly be a good fit in and applied. And here I am. Yeah.
Wow. So a documentary that you did within teen pregnancy and you kind of saw like there was like, I guess, an issue or people were needing help or...
Well, I was able to be exposed to the magic that happens when you have somebody who listens to you.
Got it.
That's really what it was. And again, being the oldest of 8, I've always been that person just by nature. And even so doing that program and then even doing working for the teen program, that was amazing. And I mean, talk about things not being out of coincidence, right? In undergrad, I worked at the counseling center. Like I knew I worked at a counseling center, but I don't know that I knew then exactly what it was. I knew I just checked the patients in, right? And so I remember at the time, one of the clinicians was studying to his licensing exam and he was like in his 50s. And of course I'm like 18, 19, right? And I'm like, why is this old man still trying to be licensed? Like he has a job. What's the big deal? I really was that naive to the whole process. And fast forward to me studying for my licensing exam, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why it's part of the process. You're not a clinician until you're licensed, I mean, well, you can technically be, but
Yeah.
it changes your status, and it just brought me just such an appreciation for my time there. I didn't appreciate it for what it was then because that wasn't what I was interested in. But now when I look back, I'm like, God is so amazing. He like constantly put me in places that were guiding me to exactly where I needed to be.
Oh, wow, that's pretty awesome. And you said you like the change that you made when someone listens to you.
Yes.
And I've kind of experienced that myself going through therapy recently, and it has been a very, it's been a blessing, and I like to say it made me a mental ninja. I would always say I was always very mentally tough before. I went to boot camp at El Toro Marine Base when I was 13, 14 years old. My parents said I needed discipline. I actually came back even more thoughtful in my troublemaking because I learned that through the Marines.
Was that with the young Marines?
Yes. It wasn't Young Marines. It was called Sea Cadets.
I did the Young Marines when I was in high school.
Did you? Yeah. So,
That's funny.
yeah, and I liked it. I was for 2 weeks. It was just, I don't want to say a life-changing experience, but it made me like, I'm going to the military. I'm as soon as I graduated high school, I don't want to say it was brainwashed, but I was like, I loved it. Loved the whole atmosphere. But I knew there was something missing. Like there was a lot of stuff that I would react and I didn't know how. And I know therapy made me become very self-aware as far as what triggered certain things and then how to repair things, how to set boundaries, how to deal with anxiety, what causes anxiety. And anger is just a tipping point. Anger is the release, right? So,
Well, it's a secondary emotion. There's something deeper, and then anger comes.
yeah. So I learned that, and I want to help break the stigma within the Latino community. Now, I know when you were saying your parents were telling like, oh, why you want to be a therapist? That's for crazy people. How do you think, why do you think Latinos think that the only reason why they need to go to therapy is because they're crazy?
Well, because if you think about it, we're such a resilient culture, and we're such a family and culturally or traditionally very religious culture as well, right?
Yes.
So you have priests, you have your parents, you have your abuelos, you have all these people who can help you. You don't need to take any of our family stuff outside. And, unfortunately in Latinos too, a lot of it's el que dirán. Like, I'm not going to put my stuff out there because of what people are going to say, rather than putting your stuff out there to see who can be a resource for you. And now my parents could not be any happier. I mean, we go to quinceañeras or weddings, and my parents like, oh, Esthercita, so-and-so wants to talk to you about something. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it here. Here's my business card. And sometimes it comes off kind of rude, but you talking about boundaries, you really need to set those boundaries, because I could spend all of my social time analyzing and working with people, and I just am not going to do that.
Okay. And do you think, because now as a male and first generation Latino, I'm okay with going to therapy. I will continue to go to therapy, and I have no problem letting people know that I've gone to therapy, because there was once a stigma like, like, oh, you're going to get help, like, oh, you can't do it on your own.
Yeah, or weak-minded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're weak, right? And I don't think that. But what do you think we need to do as a community to kind of really take a full step forward, or actually not even like a full just leap into just like, no, we just need it and it's part of life?
Well, I think it's already happening. I think people like you just saying like, yeah, I go to therapy, because people look at you as someone who's successful, has everything together. And it's like, oh, wait, well, you're in therapy too? Like when a lot of hip hop artists have come out and said like, yeah, therapy helped us. That is what is bringing awareness to it already. Like one of the coolest things just recently, so I do a lot of couples therapy, and I have 2 couples who are engaged and to be married and wanted to come and sort out some of their stuff before they actually got married, right? So they're already doing that preventative work. And I thought, like, this is so awesome to be able to help guide someone into a healthy relationship, or healthier relationship than they already are. So really it's just talking about it. The more that you talk about it, the more that it becomes the normal thing.
Now, being in our community, I mean, how it helps us as individuals, it also helps us in business. Now, there's one thing that people don't talk about in business is suicide. It gets really depressing sometimes as an entrepreneur, because you're usually the help, because you're the brave one that is a go-getter. Last week, a colleague of mine committed suicide. what do you think we could do to, I guess, what advice would you want to give entrepreneurs who feel like they have all the answers but need help? What would be something that you could recommend to them that would make them open to going to get therapy?
And actually I had someone yesterday that I was working with, and he's been in business. He has an auto repair shop for about a year and a half or two. And he's like, I'm done. I want to sell it. He's like, I'll go to, bankruptcy. I don't want to do this anymore. And so, just exploring this a little bit more with him. And so I asked him, why did you open your business? He's like, to succeed. What does succeed look like for you? He's like, well, to be stable and provide for my family. Okay. And so it's like really digging, like, what are your intentions? Right? Because remembering our intention and why we want to do something, even in our hardest time, we can remember, oh, this is why I'm doing it. Right? So it's that taking us back to what the meaning and purpose of our goals are. And it's really, really tough. So you surround yourself with people who are supportive, but who aren't going to baby you into like everything you're doing is great. Who are going to be really honest with you. And one of the things I feel like with entrepreneurs is we're not really honest about how we're doing, because we just want to front and say everything is good. Right? So I know I started private practice in January, exactly a year. So 12 months that I did my private practice. And I was always very, very open with about 3 women in my circle when it was tough for me. When I was like, man, I can barely even make to pay for this or pay for that. It's tough in the beginning. You have your office, your insurance. Like there's a big overhead on it, right? Which nobody thinks about. And everyone's like, how much do you pay yourself? And I'm like, I don't. Sometimes I didn't, right? Because I needed to get stuff covered. And so now imagine you're going through all these, you have all these road bumps and you're not talking to anybody about it. You're just, you're just pushing it down. And then something happens and you explode, right? And so it's really about having someone that you can trust and talk to.
That makes a lot of sense, because recently I have a very, very small circle of people that I communicate with. Mm-hmm. And entrepreneurship isn't just about W's.
No.
There's so many L's. I think most entrepreneurs have a losing record.
Yes, that's how you start.
It's got to be a losing record. And
Absolutely.
You get some big L's. And I had a couple L's last week, and I was just like, oh. And it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's just like, it's a lesson. But
this is when you remember. That's when you remember, why did I start this? Those losses don't matter, because they're just part of that process. And they're not even losses, they're lessons. Yeah. That's really what they are, right? Like for me, my whole thing is, for years, I was like, Kaiser's my goal. And the reason Kaiser was my goal is because they're one of the very few hospitals that will allow you to put your parents or family members onto their insurance. Yeah, so I could provide that for my parents. My parents are self-employed. And that was my thing. Like, right from the jump of me graduating grad school, I was like, I'm going to get into Kaiser as soon as I get licensed. And it never worked out, but it worked out way better. Now I have a contract with them. So now I can provide not only their insurance, but greater things than if I was just in the hospital with them.
Talking about contracts.
Yes.
I worked with Anthem Blue Cross.
Okay.
I worked in the contracting department.
Okay.
And there was one group of doctors that I didn't like getting the conversations with, and that was therapists. Therapists, now this is my take. Now you can correct me, if or you can guide me or tell me your opinion. But my opinion is, from my experience, 8, if not 9 out of 10 therapists that would call our department to try to get in network with us, once we told them our network is closed, we have a robust network of behavioral health providers, they got really mean. They would get really nasty, and I was kind of taken back a little bit. I'm just like, whoa, like, why are you being so malicious? I'm just giving you the news. Like, this is, these are what the facts are. So, and I've talked to a couple other people who are, in the field, and from hearing all that, I was like, okay, there has to be most therapists, in my opinion, got into the field because they experienced therapy. They were dealing with something, and their life was changed, and they decided to get into the field. Do you think that is a valid Does that have some truth behind it, or
I-
is that just me?
No, that wasn't my experience. Honestly, like I'm like I said, I didn't even know what the heck a therapist was. Like, it wasn't anything that made any sense for me. So for me, it was just part of the process. I will say that as I was in school and after, post school, I definitely started seeing a therapist. And there's, different times in my life where I have seen even my
Yes.
own therapist. But no, that wasn't my experience. I didn't get into it because of something that I'd experienced or I'd overcome. It wasn't. However, I'm incredibly blessed and grateful that I am in the field. I don't know about providers being upset because they can't get into a certain insurance panel or not. I will tell you, though, that whenever I call Kaiser for, just any billing question or anything, they always get surprised that I'm the provider's the one actually calling.
No, I'm not surprised at all.
Really?
Because
Yeah, it was different for them. They're like, we never get providers call. It's always their assistants or, their team.
Management,
Yeah,
their office
yeah.
staff. When it came to behavioral health, we dealt with them directly.
Directly, yeah,
It was that was because they're like, and our colleagues we'd talk about it like because we talk, Nick, they're one-stop shops. Like they do everything. They do their own appointments. They do their own billing. They do that, and they're confused about it because
that I will definitely agree
Yeah,
with.
it's-
At least I've been confused
right.
sometimes. Yes.
Insurance is very confusing, so I understand. So like medical doctors, because they have so much volume of patients that they come into their office, they have to hire staff. So it's a completely different conversation. Whenever we would talk to, if a medical doctor ever got on the phone with us, it was completely different. It was very short, very business. They're like, get to the point. It's, I got stuff to do. The therapists are like, oh no, we're gonna talk. I'm like, I would always get nervous because they were always really mean to us.
I'm so sorry to hear
when
that.
when we told them the panel's closed. Now, have you, besides working with Kaiser, is there any other health insurance companies that you're contracted with?
I've had zero interest in it. No.
So you just want to work with Kaiser?
They're the only contract that's been worth my time and energy.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not in it. It's because of the monetary reasons. But they're easy. It's been great working with them, and I've been invited into other panels, and it's just not worth it for me. It's a lot of work. I'm already booked all the way through June. Like I can't. I have a lot of work right now that I just being on other panels, it just seems kind of ludicrous. And one of the other things that for me is a lot of the people that I service don't have insurance, and that's my goal. I want to be able to provide mental health service to all those who aren't being already targeted. A lot of mine are undocumented, just undocumented and can't even have insurance, right? And so me being able, I honestly would rather see you for $50 an hour, knowing that you're getting quality treatment, than be on an insurance panel where they're going to pay me $45. It's not worth it for me.
Got it. I've never heard that perspective before, so hearing it is pretty refreshing. That you're like, no, it's not worth it. I'm comfortable from, where I am with Kaiser, and there, you said it's worth your time.
Yeah.
Because from my experience, these therapists really wanted to get onto our network. I was like, well, okay, I understand because we're a big company. We have a ton of customers. Oh, I'm talking like if I used to work, like I still work for them, but I don't. But like they had a ton of customers and stuff like that. But when you transitioned from, you've been in private practice for a year.
Yes.
Before that, what were you doing?
I was always working for either agencies or hospitals.
Okay.
I'm sorry, really quick. And it was frustrating because I became a therapist. Well, once I realized this is what I was going to do, I wanted to work with the Spanish-speaking community. Like, I wanted to do my practice in Spanish. And when you're with an agency, you're there, you're 8 to 10 hours a day. It doesn't leave a lot of time for you to do other stuff. And so here I am able to just set my schedule to whomever and however I want. And I will tell you, I have several people who I see free because they come, they reach out to me, they can't afford me. So I will charge them the first, and I'm very clear with them. I'm like, this is how much my initial intake fee is. You pay that one, then we'll figure it out. I will never not see somebody because they can't pay me. I said, but if you think this is going to be worth your time, then it's worth mine. And I'll give them 4 sessions free, and then we keep going from there. and they keep coming back, and then even if they can pay me $20 or $30, I know that they're making an effort for their own good.
And I think even it's kind of like me when I do my Cover California enrollments. I look at it like volunteer.
Yeah.
Because the commission is not much. I do charge an enrollment fee, but my enrollment fee is it's minimal. I mean, yes, it costs me more work to do enrollment for Cover California than it does for Medicare, so that's why I charge the fee, because I'm like, oh, it was just getting frustrating for me. I'm just like, I have to do something about it. Oh, I charge a fee. Okay, that makes it better. Makes it at least feel a little bit better. But it's super affordable. And I do it for a couple of reasons. One, to make the pain feel, to numb the pain of doing all the time, enrolling them. But also, when people pay me my fee, they're just like, really? That's all you're going to charge me? It's almost like they feel obligated to refer you customers. So it's kind of like I'm giving you I can just say, oh, my enrollment fee is $100. I'm going to give you 50% off. And, it's kind of like me giving them a referral fee, and then while they're paying me to do their thing, their enrollment, because I end up getting referred customers. Have you seen any of that happen to you, where as far as some of the people that you charge, very little, they refer you a ton of customers?
I mean, that's why I'm booked through June. And these are paying customers, And here's the thing, therapy is one of those fields where really you can charge from nothing to even up to $300 an hour, right? So if I have somebody who I'm not charging at all, my next patient may be paying me $170. It makes up for it, and so that's why I'm able to do it, because I don't mind taking from one to the other as long as it averages out to whatever my goal is. I'm also not careless in the sense of I'm just going to do it free all the time. Absolutely not. I have my goals for the week. I have my monthly goals. I have my quarterly goals, and I need to be able to fit everything in there. Right. And so lots of word of mouth, and those are my favorite, because that means that I did something.
Yes.
If you're getting referred by someone, that's awesome, because people don't like to talk about the therapist. Right. Yep. But if someone says, and I never ask them who, because that's none of my business, and I know that sometimes people are a little embarrassed. So I just, so-and-so, or, I got your number from a friend. That's usually what I'll get. I got your number from a friend. Or when my patients now will text me, I do a lot of texts with them and say, is it okay if I give your number to a friend of mine?
Got it.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And so in some of these patients who can't pay me, they'll bring me bags of limones or avocados, so they give me my fruits and vegetables.
It's like part therapy, part groceries.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, like you said, I can totally relate with referrals. There's nothing like a referral. It's like, oh, wow, someone referred me. That's the biggest compliment.
Absolutely.
That anyone can ever give me. Now, from working with someone, being on your own, what have been some of the major transitions that, or not transition, how was the transition? And then what were some of the surprises that you did not see coming?
Oh my God, everything. Well, I've always said I was never going to do private practice. Never. That was never my goal, because it's so lonely. It's me in my office. And and I'm such a social person. I like to interact with people, and I'm not going to interact with my patients.
Yes.
Right. So that was one of the biggest things. But in the space where I'm at there's also a physician there, and he's amazing. And then we have a nurse and our receptionist. And so I don't get to see them all the time because of my schedule versus theirs. But one of the biggest things is one of my patients had a workers' comp case. And when her files got subpoenaed, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I mean, I theoretically knew what I had to do and legally, but I was like, oh my gosh, I've never had to take care of this. Because when you work for an agency or a hospital, their attorneys take care of it. You don't have to do anything, and here I had to do it. So I had to call the board to make sure that, what can I release? What can I can't? Just really cover my own behind.
Yes. And
that was huge for me. And so when I did that and, and the case settled and everything, I was like, oh my God, I can do this. Right. So every now and then I'm like, okay, I can do this without even realizing that maybe I'm still is this really what I'm doing? I'm really doing this. So little things like that, or even having waters for them, making, monthly trips over to Costco or Sam's to get my waters, or do I want snacks for them? It's all this stuff that I've had to learn on my own. And even by visiting other therapists, like I'm very open. I reach out to people all the time. Like, hey, can I go visit your office? Just so that I can get an idea. Because again, I'm so new. Although I've been doing this for 10 years, I've been doing it under somebody else's roof. Now it's under my own. So I want to be able to see what other people's practice looks like.
Very interesting, because I never really thought about that. Because most of the time, people are really, when it comes to their business, they're really like kind of like, oh, I don't want to give you my secret sauce.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've encountered that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that they're being open. What now? Since you're still relatively new, but
Absolutely.
yeah, you're
it's like I'm a baby.
What's one thing that you can tell now after experience your first year? What advice would you give yourself if you were to have to start over today? Like,
if I were to start over, if I was starting right now after a year and a few months that I've been doing it, I would say hire somebody sooner than I did. So I do have an assistant who helps me. I would have hired her on a lot sooner. A lot of the stuff I was taking care of myself. One of the things that I do eventually need to do, I just haven't done it, is have 2 separate lines. Like I have separate phone numbers, but it all comes to the same cell phone number.
oh, I get
Right?
like a Google number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Psychology Today gives me a number.
Okay.
But it all comes into the same place, right? So I would have started with 2 separate.
Got it.
I really would have. And so now trying to wing off of it is the interesting part for me. It'll happen within the next maybe few weeks.
Okay.
So definitely hiring my assistant a lot sooner than I did, and really setting it clear, the cell phone stuff. Like, this is a business phone and this is your personal phone. Like, that was...
Got it. Okay, so you would have hired someone sooner, and then you were doing a lot of stuff on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You just said something right now, and I got distracted.
The cell phone stuff.
The cell phone.
Yeah, I would have
Okay.
definitely, cell phone just for the business, and then my personal one.
Now, have you ever tried using a Google number?
I did, and it still goes to your phone.
Okay.
It still goes to your phone, and so...
But the thing I like about the Google number is that when the call comes through, it announces you have a phone call from so-and-so. So you can literally just say, ignore. Yeah. And because I get that too. They'll call me, and you have to set the tone, right? Like, it's not office hours. We're not in session. Like, I'm not going to call you back. If it's an emergency, then we need to call 911. But I think you can do that. But I get it, though. Trust me, because it's when your phone goes off and you're looking at it, like, you can't stop thinking. You're just like, what's it? What do they need? And
oh, no, I'm really good at... I have very good boundaries. I look at it and I'm like, okay, and just keep on. No, I have very good boundaries with that.
When do you think you'll get your second line?
Oh, soon. But here's going to be the thing. So I do have that number, right? But I reply with my number, right?
Yeah.
And all of my patients have my cell phone number now. So here's why I haven't done it. Because I think that my number that I've had forever and ever and ever will probably say my business number. And so I just am having a little, trouble letting go of that
number.
That number. Yeah.
I know. We get so attached to things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like, but I've had this number since like 2002. Everyone knows it.
Yes.
Like, get over it.
Yeah.
Cut the line.
There you go.
Move forward. Now, I've noticed that you've been doing a lot of work with Univision.
Yes.
First, let's talk about how that came about, and then what is it that you address?
Okay. So I've been with Univision for a little bit over a year as well now, and I'm their mental health expert. And so the way that it happened is one of the producers there is friends with somebody that I know. And she called me and she's like, hey, you're like, what did she say? Like a relationship coach or something. And I'm like, no, I'm a therapist. And I work with families and couples. And
so mainstream.
Yes.
Like all your years of work and your degrees, relationship coach. That's what I am. Like, get out of here.
That's exactly how it happened. And she's like, well, they need somebody for something about relationships. Do you want to do it? Can I give you your number? And I said, sure. She called me, but by the time she called me, she'd already looked at like my Instagram page and my website and all that, which I dislike to the core. I don't like social media. So it's very minimal. What I do have is very minimal. But apparently whatever I had then, because I'd done radio before. And so she kind of had something to go from. And we did a phone interview, and then they took me in. And I thought it was going to be like an interview. No, it was like an actual live segment. So all the segments that I do are live. They're 3 to 6 minutes. And so they vary in topics from death, grief and loss, to dating, to family issues. It just varies. And here's the thing too. I love doing it. It's one of my most favorite things that I do in my life right now. But they are fluff topics. But it's enough to get people into the door.
Got it.
Right?
And I think that's the goal.
Yes.
Because with the Latino market, they're very stubborn. They're very set in their ways. And a lot of, like you said, the religion, right? And after experiencing group therapy and how it impacted me, before I went to group therapy, and I still go to it. I just don't go to it now because I've just been a little bit busier. But I had a men's health, a Bible study. It was a men's group. Mm-hmm. And I loved it because there's nothing like sitting down with older men or older individuals, and this one was just happening to men. I can relate with them more because it's coming from a male perspective, and their wisdom, their stories, their experiences. You're always going to gain from somebody. I never looked at it, as a negative. Oh, religion, like there's too religion-y or anything like. It was never nothing like that. But when I went to the men's group after therapy, and I'm hearing some of the individuals speak, and I'm like, I'm just praying to God and hope He can help me, and maybe I can have a relationship with my son again. And in my mind, I'm just like, why don't you just go to therapy? Like, you can't just stick with one thing. Like, if you bridge both together, I mean, you become an incredible person. I don't want to say I'm not anti-religion, but there's flaws, but we're human, right? When the whole scandal came out with the priests and molesting boys, I'm just like, all right, church, like, do something for the priests. Like, they're men. Like, let them have girlfriends, let them have wives. Like, this whole thing is just too much. But at the same time, what about therapy? Like, therapy makes such a big impact for people. So, what are your thoughts as far as people bridging both religion and therapy?
I am that. So I'm Catholic, and I grew up Catholic, and I'm very strong spiritually, and I do like to go to church. I'm that person. And so I do bring religion or more spirituality into my sessions. But I always ask, do you believe in God? Do you believe in a higher power? And I will often tell them, I'm like, even if it's that flower vase that's right there, if that's your higher power, we have to believe that there's something greater than us. Because if we don't, then where's our hope? Where's our faith? Right? There has to be something greater than us. And so I pull on that a lot. I mean, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, so I'll do it when I wake up in the morning in my bedroom, and then when I go into my office, it's like, Lord, use me as your vessel. What do I need to say? Who do I need to say it to? Right? And what do I need to do? And a lot of times I'm sitting there with someone, and like something comes out, and I'm like, oh shit, where did that come from? Like, I know I'm bright, but whoa, this was like even beyond anything that I would have just thought of. And yes. I know that that's my higher power working through me. And, I do a lot of stuff, with the universe, and just really believing in who you are, and the energy that you put out is what you're going to get. Right. And, going back into starting into business, a lot of people start business with the lack mindset. I don't have this, and this is why I'm going to do it. Yeah. Right. And so when we start off with the lack mindset, which most of us are, that's how we're conditioned from when we're little. No tenemos, no tienes, And so that's why we're constantly feeling like we don't have it. But if we switch the paradigm and believe that we have it, and we believe that it's going to come to us, it will. Right. So I'm definitely that, that person who merges both mental health and spirituality.
That's awesome. Because I think now that I'm going to confirmation classes, because we're gonna get married to the church.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I kind of came out of nowhere because my fiance was like, "Oh no, we don't want to go to married to the church." I'm like, "Cool," and then she's like, changed her heart like 3 months in. He goes, "No, I want to get married to the church." Okay,
so
that's
beautiful.
fine. That's fine. So he's like, "But I don't have my confirmation." What? So I'm that person that like tests the person that's teaching the class. I'm like, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Just giving them hard pressing questions that like really gets them to be like open to like to change. Like there's so many outdated stuff that just it needs a little update, a little refresher.
Yeah. Well, we grew up going to church every Sunday at 7:30 in the morning, and I still try to do that. And so, but my parents, so we would go to church, then we'd come home, get tamales, and then we'd all sit and we'd talk about what the priest talked about. And my parents always allowed us to question. They always allowed us to have conversations about it, whether they liked it or not. But we grew up in an amazing household where we talked, right? And so when so I did all my sacraments, as a kid. And when I came to confirmation, they had us write a letter like, why are you here in confirmation? And what does it mean for you? And so my letter said, Dear Father Claudio, I'm in confirmation because my grandmother told my mom that I had to come. And so then he's like, Esther, you need to redo this letter. I said, okay, I'm going to write the same thing. And he's like, no. And so he was like upset that I wasn't like confining to whatever they needed. I said, well, I'm not going to lie because then it's going to be a sin. And he's like, well, you need to come back when you're ready. I said, okay. So in my smart little head, I was like, there's like 3 other churches in Pedro. Like, I'll just go to another one. And nope, he had called all the other ones so that I could not be enrolled until I was ready. And I think I did it like 2 years later. I will say that I probably BS'd it because my parents wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward now, like I'm one of the leaders for the kids group. Like I'm very active with the church. But again, I allow the kids to question. I allow them to, not say just because I'm here telling you this is what it is. Like absolutely not.
Yeah. And I think that's because I grew up. I'm Catholic and. I also went to Christian church. I don't want to say it's just a little different.
It's very different.
It's very different as far as like, the Christian church is more about the Bible. And
well, they deliver their message differently too, because there are times where I'll go to a Christian church as well. They deliver the message differently. It almost sometimes it's more relatable than when I'm in my Catholic mass.
It is.
Right?
You get that a lot.
And I'm open to both. But again, I know that my higher power is so amazing that he doesn't care, or she.
Yeah.
They don't care where I go as long as I have something.
And that's how I feel. Like I don't see either church being better than another. I'm like, it's still a higher being. And as long as we're learning to be moral, be good people, and have the right direction, there's always stigma. Like, oh, you're so Christian. He goes, I can't believe you did that. You go to the church. I'm like, we're human. We're gonna make mistakes. Like, what do you think about that saying now as a professional?
Well, I get that a lot. And I'm like, that's why I go to church so much, so I can do what I want. I need to build on that cushion. Yeah. I'm human, and I'm not excusing, and I'm young and I'm going to enjoy life. But I also know where my values are, and it's a give and take. I'm not going to be a saint, but I'm also not going to be out there, running amok. It's a balance. So yeah, I dislike when people say that because everybody's like, no sales de la iglesia and look at what you just did right now. It's like, don't worry about it. That's why I go.
Oh man, he's gotta love it. Do you think that's people in general, or is that really mainly a Latino culture thing where they judge you a little bit more than normal? No,
I think we judge each other a lot.
Okay.
I think it's even in your household, like look at your brother, look at your sister. I know growing up, I remember I wanted to dye my hair. Like, no, you can't dye your hair when I was in high school because, what example are you setting for the rest of your siblings? But then my siblings were dyeing their hair before so it's just like, it's always about comparing and, being the role model for your siblings or your cousins or, and it's just, that's how we're brought up.
Got it. Now, we were talking about this before.
Yes.
Since now you're a sole proprietor, how have you addressed your health insurance needs?
I haven't. No, I'm just going to be really transparent as I have been throughout. I did tell you, don't ask me that question. I've always been on insurance, always, until I started my private practice. And it wasn't part of my priority. I've had a lot of friends who are like, Esther, you need to buy insurance. You need to get on something. And I'm like, I'm healthy. And, I'm in a physician's office. So if ever I need anything, he takes care of me. And I know I haven't done it yet. I will. I'll be giving you a call. I'll do it. But it just hasn't been something that's been on my priority list.
And you know what? That's a very normal response. There isn't, it's not like, we at the end of the day we know that we need it, right? Like it's because if we get sick. I mean, unfortunately, you could go bankrupt in this country if you get really sick. But as an entrepreneur, you have other priorities. I mean, yes, your health is like your number one priority. I understand that, but if you have access to a physician that can take care of your annual physical and, do a lot of preventative stuff, that's fine. I mean, that's a perk of working in your field.
Yes.
I mean, I would have that same, kind of, I don't want to say benefit, but like, that perk as far as knowing people within the field. So I'm not here to judge you. And I don't think anyone listening will judge you because we understand,
I do think if I had a family, I think that would be different.
It's completely different.
Yeah. If I had a family, it'd be different. But
night and day.
It's me.
Yes, it's night and day. And I have noticed that through younger single entrepreneurs who don't have a family. They're just like, I don't have to. I'll go to Mexico. So I completely understand that. And in most cases where people who have families, they're like, I can't go without insurance. It's just, if my kid gets sick, I know it's like it's instinct coming in. I gotta take him to the doctor. I need right away. I can't wait till on Monday to go see my colleague and things like that. So it's a little different. And once you have, I also heard once you have an established business and you have employees, and then it's about their families.
Yes.
So it's completely different. I just wanted to know because everyone has a different take. I've heard of them all. Even from my customers when they finally decided, it's like, yeah, man, I just neglected for so long. I don't know why I did it, but I just have to do it now. Yeah. So good thing for us is that President Obama made it, put the act in where you aren't denied for a pre-existing condition. So if for some reason, through your preventative maintenance, they find something during open enrollment, you can enroll. You're not going to be denied. So you'll be able to have coverage, and it's a wrap.
Yes.
You have health insurance, so you don't have to worry about it. And then when you do finally decide, when you're like, all right, I think I got this business, the sole proprietorship down. Let me call Nick.
Yes.
I'll definitely take care of you, and I can speak your language because I know what you're looking for and things like that. Because I've been in insurance for such a long time. It's like a whole nother language when you're talking to people. But now, aside from let's step away from business and behavioral health. What's your go-to, go-to lunch? What's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal? Depends on where I'm at. If I'm home in Pedro, there's this amazing sandwich shop that I love, and I love their tuna sandwiches, A1 Deli. If I'm in my office area in Montebello, oh my gosh, there's this place that makes amazing chile relleno burritos.
Ooh.
Yes. and I'm that person that can eat the same thing every day.
There's a lot of people. They go to the restaurant and they order the same thing. Like it's just like the usual.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are two of for lunch wise, those are my two favorite things. Very
cool. In Montebello, I think there's a really good taco spot. They used to be in Pico Rivera. They're called A Cabron.
I don't eat meat, so I probably would not be ordering tacos.
So you're a vegan or vegetarian?
Neither. I'm a very selective eater. So I love ground turkey. So I love turkey burgers. But I'm not big on turkey deli meat. Right. But I don't eat red meat. I haven't had a hamburger in years. No carne asada, none of that. And I love seafood.
Oh, so you're a marisco person.
Absolutely.
Are you more of a fish taco or shrimp cóctel de camarón?
Depends on where I'm going.
Oh, yeah. I like this. All right, let's just say.
Depends, because I like them both.
That's a good, I know.
If I'm in TJ, I'm getting fish tacos.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's this place off of El Segundo, and I love their cóctel de camarón. So it just really depends on where I'm at.
Got it. Yeah. That's true, because like I grew up going to Ensenada when I was a kid.
Okay.
We used to go all the time, and they make some of the best fish tacos.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't get a shrimp cocktail though.
Yeah, oh, no.
You do the tacos.
What we would do though, because there was a fish market, we'd buy all the fish
Everything.
and we would make it ourselves.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was, so I kind of grew up eating shrimp cocktail. It's funny because when I go to a restaurant outside of California and I ask for a shrimp cocktail,
You get the shrimp and the cocktail
yeah,
sauce.
I'm like, what is this? Like, I will never forget when I did. I think it was in Florida. I was just like, this is not a shrimp cocktail. Like, I just was so like taken back, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, this is not. It's shrimp cocktail, not cocktail de camarón. Completely different.
Well, the same thing happened with me. Growing up, we used to eat chilaquiles, rice and beans for dinner. Like that was one of our meals. And I remember when I went up in Monterey Bay with one of my roommates with her family to a restaurant, and they had chilaquiles for breakfast, and I'm like, who eats chilaquiles for breakfast? I was like, whoa, this is so cool. That's one of my favorite foods. And so I ordered it, but it came with egg, and I was like, what the heck is this? And then later I've learned that no, chilaquiles are usually a breakfast food.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I mean, I guess your parents at the time, like, I didn't know it was poor, right? I think
Yeah,
as a
same
kid,
here.
yeah, right. Like you didn't know you were poor.
No
You just
idea.
kind of just like you made with what you had, and you just lived it. I was never. I was a picky eater when I was like really young, and then my parents would punish me when I wouldn't eat my food, and then I got to an age where I just ate everything. I don't know. It's just the boy thing. They just like, oh, I don't eat, right? I just ate everything, but. Yeah, chilaquiles, we ate it in the morning, we ate it in the evening. It didn't matter. So whatever we had in the fridge, my mom would make. She'd make wonders, and the food was always delicious. So, yeah, then as I've gotten older, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, so there was this one dish that I remember we used to eat, and I loved it. But I think they're called mollejas.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We eat them for Cuaresma.
Yeah, and my older sister told me, goes, Nick, poor people eat that. I go, what? But they're good. Like, why would you not want to eat these things, right? So, like, my fiance, she is not the type. She's not a picky eater, but she's particular what she eats. She doesn't like mariscos. She won't eat tacos de lengua, tacos de tripa. Like I will eat all of that. Buche, cabeza. Tripas, lengua. I even forgot what they're called, mollejas. And then I think once she found out, like I can give her something, and if I don't tell her what it is, she'll at least take a bite. But once she knows what it is, like she's just like, oh
Wait, so what are molletas for you?
there isn't it? It's like a little. It's dark meat. I think isn't it like?
Oh, no,
liver?
then I don't know what you're talking about.
Molleja. It's
For us, it was like a piece of bread with like beans and cheese.
No, that was not.
Oh, okay.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
what it is. It's I think it's the liver
Okay.
of the chicken.
Oh, no idea. We don't eat that for Lent.
I will show you what it is. It's really good. It's I think it's actually really healthy for you. But I didn't know. I ate it. My mom made it, and she would make it with mole. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, I didn't care. It was
Okay.
equally as delicious.
What part of Mexico is your family from?
We're from Guadalajara.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was born here. My parents were born in Totatiche, Jalisco, which is not too. Actually, it's really far. It's like 4 hours from Guadalajara, but it's you know how it is. Like you just say a major, like the capital, the major
Yeah.
city, everyone knows that. And then you get there and it's like in this far little ranch. But where your family from?
Durango.
Durango. When's the last time you've been?
So it was a year and a half ago. I took 50 days and I traveled 8 states, 13 cities.
50 days.
50 days.
I'm so jealous. That's my goal.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I want to travel Mexico for that amount of time. It's a month and a half. So I've done Thailand for a month. I've been to Italy. I've been to Holland. I've been to Greece. I've been to like 30 states here in America. Mexico, obviously. Hawaii. Where else have I been? And that's all that I can think of. But my goal is to travel to Mexico, but like the heart. not the beaches.
Okay, I did a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a little bit of both, and I loved it. I've always been a big traveler. That is one thing that since I started my private practice, I haven't traveled. You have to sacrifice some things, and travel was one of them for me. So I plan on going again this year in August for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Now, do you think you sacrificed your travel because you want to get your business established, or is it because you feel that you don't want to travel anymore?
Oh no, I'm always going to be a
Okay.
traveler. I'm such a big traveler. Oh no, I've lived in other parts of the world, and I travel a lot. But no, one, I needed to build that consistency with my clients, with my patients.
Yes.
I'm not just going to leave. It's
Yeah.
so different now. It's so different. And so now for me, it'll be easier to leave. It just makes for me more sense to take off a whole month rather than 1 week here, 1 week there. It's just too inconsistent where if, just let everybody know in August, I'm not going to be here. It seems to work better for me.
Okay.
Well, it'll be the first time I'm going to do it. So now that I'm in private practice, so we'll see.
Yeah, because I know since I've been in business, I guess the urge to travel hasn't really got me. But I just got back from Mexico maybe about 2 weeks ago, and I forgot how important traveling is. Because when you leave the country or you go on vacation, your creativity comes back.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me, like all these different ideas to help me grow my business comes to my head. Versus when I'm here, I'm like I had to force myself to come up with ideas. But when I'm away from home for a good amount of time, everything kind of resets for me.
No, that probably means you're not doing a lot of good self-care. Yeah.
I'm being analyzed.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No. I only say that because if you're feeling forced to come up with ideas or to be creative, you're probably not giving yourself any me time, right? So that's one thing. I take very good care of myself. I don't work on Fridays. And there's a high need for therapists on Saturdays. So, and I'm okay. But I don't work on Fridays, and it's just, and I'm okay with it. And everyone's like, Esther, you should. Nope. Esther should nothing but just relax.
I'm glad that you said that because you said self-care, me time. And I get that when I go to the softball field. And when you said that, and I remember I went to the softball field, I think right before I went to Mexico, and I was like, wow, I needed that. Mm-hmm. So you know what? You just reminded me. Okay. I need to take some more because I really love what I'm doing. And I think what's really kind of got me going is of me getting out there, like creating content and putting it out there. And that's just so time consuming. Mm-hmm. But I forget that you do need some me time to just be like,
yeah. And I try to do it daily too. I like to run. And so just, and it'll be like on my headphones, the same song, the same running playlist, but I love it. It just takes me away from everything for, however much time I'm running. So I always try to find something to do that's just for me because I'm giving all of me on a daily basis.
got it.
So yeah, definitely being able to take care of me is important.
Now, growing up, probably, you're Latina or Mexican. You probably grew up with some novelas.
Lots of them.
What are some of your favorite novelas?
Oh my God, Carusel for sure. I don't know. Do you know which one that was with the
What
little
year?
kids? I don't know. I was maybe like in elementary.
Oh,
There were a bunch of little kids who went
yes,
to a private school.
yes. I remember that one. I didn't remember the title. I remember all the
Carusel de
kids,
Niños.
though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. That one. And this was, I think, when I was older. I really liked that dumb novela, Gaviota.
Yes, I remember that one.
Okay, and actually I remember when a really good friend of mine was getting married, he sent the invitation, and it was, the address for the invitation was Tequila, Jalisco. I remember I called him, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, just because the novela it says it, I didn't know it was a real place. And he's like, Esther, that's where I'm from. I'm like, there's no place. And it was so funny. And so I went to the wedding, and I loved it. And actually, I've lived there several times, for a month and a half or two. That's one of my go-to spots now. So that one was one, and then that other novela, Teresa.
Okay.
And we loved watching that, and we would watch it as a family. Growing up, well, even still now at my parents' house, there's always only been one television, and it's been in the living room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no televisions in any other bedrooms. Yeah.
I think there was only one television, and it was in the living room. Mm-hmm. But we stopped watching novelas, I think, when I got to high school. But my favorite one was Dos Mujeres Un Camino.
Oh, I do remember that. Eric Estrada.
Yeah. That was my favorite. I love the girl, the actor, when she would cry and her eyeliner would just smear. And then just like, when I would cry and throw tantrums as a kid, my mom would be like, you want to be like that girl in the novela? I'm just like, and then Muchachitas.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I don't think I got into that.
Yeah, we watched that one. I remember, I think it was the bad guy who was like, it was just really bad. And he had like how they killed him was like with a remote control car.
Oh my gosh.
And his remote control cars were really in at the time. It went like underneath his car and boom, it like, blew up.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
getting close to the finale. That's how I remember that.
Oh, that's funny.
So now that we're gonna wrap this up, and I want to ask you kind of like a random question that will probably bring value more to entrepreneurs. Aside from going to therapy and self-care, what's something else that you can recommend to a business owner to be able to maintain a healthy relationship with their business, their family, and their friends?
Yeah, having a balance and having boundaries. And yes, I get it, and I hear this a lot from a lot of my friends who are business owners. Is like, I'm 24/7. You can't. You're gonna burn yourself out. Like, there has to be a moment where you don't have to answer that phone. Like, I get it. It may mean, a few $100s, but is that more than that time that you're going to spend with whoever you're going to be with? There has to be that balance where you're like, okay, I'm with my partner, I'm with my friends, I'm with my family. I can put my phone down for a little bit. And honestly, that would be the biggest thing, is you can put your phone down. If it's meant for you, it will be there when you get back to it.
I forgot about that saying.
But any business that's meant to be for you will be there regardless of.
Okay.
It just will be. And so that's one of the biggest things for entrepreneurs, that you feel like you always have to be on the go. You always have to be on. You don't. You really don't.
That's important, because I think I needed to hear that. Though I can take a little bit of self-care, but sometimes I get so focused that I forget to take that moment.
Yeah. And I think people are so glued to their phones too. I'm one of the very few people that you will encounter that your phone does not come out when you're with me, because I'm so present with you that you never see my phone. And then you all of a sudden forget, like, shit, I haven't brought my phone out this whole time that I've been with her. And that's how present people should be. I constantly get, like, after I meet with people for lunch or dinner or, whatever we're doing, and, hey, we didn't even get a picture together. That's okay. Because we got all this time together.
Yeah. I have that same mindset when I go to a concert.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I paid money to be here. I'm not live streaming and posting pictures of this event so everyone at home can see it. Like, this is me. Oh, do I appreciate it when people post it online and I can see it? Sure. But when I'm at the concert, I'm at the concert.
Yeah,
I'm not recording. I'm enjoying that moment, whoever I'm with, and just taking it all in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I agree with that. We have to be a little more present. Even like, the thing I like about the podcast is that I'm fully engaged, or well, I will say about myself, I'm fully engaged in having this conversation. I'm listening. I have to listen. I'm not listening. I mean, I am looking to like the camera to see if the camera's recording, making sure that the equipment is on. But for the most part, I'm engaged, and this is where I can get why I like it, because I get so much information from everybody. Everyone has a different perspective. Everyone has a different idea. Everyone has different goals, and it's just fascinating. And it's helped me so much. And from the people who listen, they were just, it kind of cuts out the excuses.
Well, yeah, I mean, and even just, again, going back to being in the lack mindset, right? As an entrepreneur, when you go to therapy, they help you see that you don't have to catastrophize everything. You're not going to die. You're not going to go bankrupt because of this. They help normalize things for you. And that's why it's so important. And I think doing a podcast like this, it does the same thing. Like, you're hearing somebody who maybe went through the same thing, and you're like, okay, they're still alive. I'm going to be okay.
Yes. This is how I'm supposed to feel.
Yes.
Yes. This is part of the process.
Absolutely.
All right. Got it. Okay, cool. So I'm not just going crazy.
No. And I will say that a lot of people think therapy is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. People for whatever reason think they're going to go to therapy and leave and be super, happy. No, it's uncomfortable. You're reaching into parts of yourself that you don't normally do. you're feeling stuff that you're like, whoa, where did this come from? But as you continue to do the work, you'll start to feel better. And so when I work with my couples, and even when I do a lot of the workshops that I do, I tell people, it may feel shittier than when you first came in, but keep at it and it'll feel better.
Yes. I experienced that. But I was actually kind of warned ahead of time by one of my buddies who is a counselor. And he's like, it's going to be weird at first. And I remember my first session when I went, this was before I did group. Group was the one that really made an impact. But I went to our EAP. I utilized our EAP benefits.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the therapist told me, he goes, it sounds like there's a little boy trapped inside of you. And he's trying to come out. I'm like, what? And I kind of figured, I'm like, oh, I think she's telling me that I'm immature.
No.
Well, I don't know. That's how I took it. Right? But, and I was just kind of like, I called my friend. I was like, she told me this. Like, you don't know me. Like, I just like, but then I kept going and I kept going. And I was like, let me just deal with it. And then it just got better. When she said that, as a professional, what does that mean?
So that usually means that there's stuff that we're carrying from when we're kids. Okay. There's something in there that didn't get addressed when we were 5, 10, 15. And so it's not this 30-something-year-old woman responding now. It's that jaded 15-year-old responding, right? So it's not that you're immature. It's just that there's something that where your emotional whatever got stunned at that moment, right? Like your process got. Like, so, like teen moms. If you become a mom at 15, you get stunned at that age, right? And so, they're 20-something with a 5-year-old kid and they're still acting like they're teenagers. Well, because that's where they had a huge trauma in their life. Having a child is a huge impact, no matter what age you are, right? So it's, playing catch up.
So that's what she meant.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
Wow. This whole conversation was worth that one answer. Esther, thank you very much for taking time out of your
Thank you.
busy schedule. I'm hoping, I got a lot from this. I'm pretty sure people who are listening to this are going to hear it. I get a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this. I'm hoping that they get this message. They become open to therapy and get help, because entrepreneurship can be very lonely. People they don't talk about that. They're used to always having the answers and thinking that they don't need to reach out to anyone for answers.
Yes.
But I mean, just like you need to talk to an accountant when you got to do your payroll stuff, just like you got to reach out to a marketing person, just like you got to reach out to other vendors for other stuff for your business, I think it's very important for them to reach out to behavioral health therapists, someone like yourself, and then not only like yourself, I mean, you're a Latina, you're a woman, you have so much more stuff that entrepreneurs can relate with, at least the people who listen to the show, versus someone who is probably from a different background. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.